Welcome back to the WDS Originals YouTube channel. My name's Jason and this is my V10 swapped E92 M3. Of course, those of you that have been following the build will know all about this car, but if you haven't, head down to the description and you'll find a link to the playlist. In today's video, we've got quite a lot coming up and it's going to be a little bit more POV style. So with this video being a bit more POV style, you guys are going to get a bit more behind the scenes style footage. And of course, if you enjoy this type of content, then let me know in the comment section down below and we'll do some more of it. But for now, it's time to jump straight in. So with the deal currently en route, it's time for me to start setting this car up so that he can plug his laptop into it. Now the first thing I need to do is add a 12 volt power supply. So this is a NOCO battery charger, but it does allow you to give a permanent 12 volts. So the plan is to set this up on this car and hopefully power it up for the first time in a very long time. Now one thing I'd completely forgotten about was this absolute bomb site that's going on in the boot of this car. So I spent the next couple of minutes organising and shuffling stuff around so that I could connect this charger. And the second that I turned that charger to a 12 volt power supply, we had some power. We also had a laptop and an Adil. You having fun there?
Yeah. It's on my life.
Whose idea was it to put that ECU there?
Yours.
Nah.
I said the glove box. I said remove the glove box.
Oh yeah, of course.
Remove the glove box. They're like, oh, I don't want it. It looks too nice.
And after getting the laptop connected and the car powered up, it was time to connect the ECU. This effectively meant me going to the engine bay and connecting all our Deutsch connectors. This would give the engine harness and also that ECU the main powers and enable us to communicate with all the sensors and everything that we'd just wired. And if you haven't seen that video, head down to the description. As I said earlier, there is a complete playlist for this build. So now as you can see, the car's powered up, the ignition is on, and we've got Adil sat in that passenger seat, starting to configure this ECU.
1.5.1.156 annual firmware update.
And after a quick firmware update, it was time to input some of these V10 values.
What's the cylinder size on this? 92mm. Google it.
I can certainly Google it for you if you want.
I'll set up the NOCO sensors because we know what bank each one's on. So 1 to 5 is on sensor 1 and 6 to 10 is on sensor 2.
Cool. Now, having never played with the MaxxECU software, this setup was new to both myself and Adil. Adil has far more experience with standalone ECUs, especially when it comes to the computer side, so this is where I let Adil take full control, but I did try and follow along.
I just want to see if it automatically pulls it all in. It probably does. We don't need any of that yet. And we can start setting up IOs.
I'm assuming this is where you input everything that you've wired yourself.
Yeah, basically.
So you tell the ECU what wire's on what.
Yep.
I getcha.
We then proceeded to spend the next hour inputting everything we needed into this ECU.
Pressure sensor, Honeywell, MPN 150 PSAX. There we go. It's Royal pressure setup.
Beautiful.
This one will need a manual calibration.
What's that?
Well, there's no sensor configuration for this.
Oh, what, for the fuel pressure?
For the fuel pressure one.
Yeah.
So it'll be a pressure sensor. It's a Bosch. We've got the part number, and it doesn't line up with anything in the software. So we'll have to use a user-defined table.
We'll
set
play
up
with
there,
it.
and then put the values in there.
Got ya.
Right. So I've set you 2 lambda sensors, internal controller, and cylinders 1 to 5 are on set lambda sensor A, and cylinders 6 to 10 lambda sensor B, and LSU 4.9. So that's what you have fitted.
And after inputting these sensors, it was time to do a test.
You fancy man.
Oh, we can latch. Oh, you recorded me.
That's alright.
We can latch the sport button because it was a momentary switch. We can set it here. It has a latch function, so that
So it's just permanently on.
So when you tap it, it latches. The input is on, and when you press it again, it unlatches it.
And that's for the sport button.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What are we looking at? The cruise control.
Well, just the OEM CAN bus buttons, but if you do cruise control, we'll see if the ECU is picking it up, which means it's working through the CAN bus.
Cool. So I need to operate the stalk.
Yep.
and you're going to see it on there.
Yeah, so it'll go from a 0 to a 1 on each of these.
Gotcha. So what do you want me to do? You want me to set it?
Yep, cruise control set.
Right, button's being pressed now.
Yep, that works.
Gotcha.
Then accelerate.
So button's going up for accelerate.
Works.
Yeah.
Decelerate.
Button's going down for decelerate.
That works. And then abort.
Cancel is forwards.
Yep, and also your aircon should be coming in. Yep, aircon's latching.
Perfect. Beautiful. So everything on CAN bus is communicating properly.
Yep, so we know the CAN bus is set up correctly.
Right, so what are we doing? Calibrating the throttle pedal.
We are indeed, yep.
Okay, I've got my instructions. I'm ready.
Go for it.
All the way down.
There you go.
Let go of it, or?
Yep.
It's got a click in there. I didn't realise it's got a kick down button.
It's not, isn't it?
Currently off the pedal yet.
Yep, so do it again.
Ready?
Yep.
Done.
There you go, calibrated.
Perfect.
So this wonderful man has decided, after telling me to rebuild it all, he's made me take it all apart so that we can check these throttle actuators. What do you want, sorry? Foot on the pedal?
Yeah.
All the way to the bottom?
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. Okay.
You're really not happy in here, are you?
Yeah,
Now at this point here, Adil and I got very lucky. We were sent over a map file from somebody in America who we've already previously mentioned, who has helped massively with this build. Jason Wadsworth in America has been an absolute hero. He sent us over his map file for his V10 on a MaxxECU. This enabled us to copy and paste a few things that we weren't 100% sure on. So again, a massive shout out to you, Jason. Thank you very much indeed. And after inputting a few more things, this led to a conversation between myself and Adil about different ECU manufacturers. And I'm very much a Max fan, and obviously so is Adil, but we were talking about other ECUs and capabilities on others, which then led to Adil doing his standard thing and mugging me off. It's all well and good, but Link just don't support DCT, do they?
You just have to learn how to use your legs and drive a manual car.
Nah, I'm a bitch. And after some good old lightheartedness, it was time for me to remove the plenum so that we could try and calibrate those throttle actuators. Now some of you may well remember that we've previously modified these throttle actuators to remove the CAN bus and wire directly to them. This is all well and good, but it does need a lot of calibration inside the ECU. Yep, go on. 50% throttle, that's probably more like 80% throttle, wide open throttle. And after quite a bit of faffing about, we did manage to get this to work properly. Now one of the things we couldn't get to work properly was the park switch. We had a transmission fault light on the dash, and the iDrive was telling us there was multiple faults with the transmission. However, the laptop was communicating perfectly via the CAN bus system that was already in this E92. Now one thing I had done, as per the Max website, was installed a park pin lockout. This is a park delete kit, so as you can see, park lock delete, and it effectively goes on DCT box just here and will stop this from activating and will allow us to control things through the ECU and basically override the factory system. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to fit this just on there, and then we don't have to worry. Of course, if you're running this DCT box in a different car, where the car didn't standardly have a DCT gearbox, you'd probably be alright. But for me, given the fact that the car has a DCT gearbox from factory and has all the CAN protocols and everything for it, it's actually causing me more aggro than it's worth, which means I now need to get back under the car and take this out. So with the car now in the air, it's time to go underneath and assess the situation. Oh, that does not look fun. Now fortunately for me, I left the original park switch, operation gear, whatever you want to call it, here, and the lockout is there. But as you can see, it's bolted from on top. So the only way I'm going to do that is by dropping this gearbox, which I have actually got to change those bolts anyway, because they're only temporarily in there, and I have brand new BMW bolts to go in. So if I drop that gearbox, hopefully I can get access from over the top to that bolt, and then you can see the factory one screws from underneath. So putting the factory one back on will be quite easy, but getting the aftermarket one out is going to be a right sod. And you know what? That sounds like a future me problem, along with all of the other little issues that we're currently facing. So I just want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode, where we're going to be tackling all of these problems and hopefully getting that one step closer to having this car started.